Hey 5th grade parents, this is your video for the 5th grade Meet the Teacher night. You'll hear from all three teachers, but I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So this is for the 2020-2021 school year. I'm Miss Gandenberger. I teach math and science in this grade, and you'll hear from Mrs. Feldman and Miss Merritt in a little bit. So the first thing we want to talk about is our mission. This is our St. James mission. By honoring God through our words and actions, the St. James School community embraces Catholic values and commits to faith formation, personal and academic excellence, and service to others. This is our mission here at St. James. Here are some of our goals as teachers for your students this year. We want to help students develop independence, self-discipline, and responsibility. Those are big things in the 5th grade. We want to help them create strong organization and study skills. This is going to be even more important this year because they are staying in their homerooms, at least for now. It's going to be really easy for their space in the classroom to get kind of messy. So we work a lot this year with organization and study skills help because that's something that a lot of 5th graders are still developing. And we also want to provide students with an academically stimulating and rewarding school year. And that is still a goal of ours this year. I know a lot of things this year are going to be different, but we are going to do our best to make sure that this year is still academically rigorous, that all students are challenged within their appropriate ability level, and that they feel like it was a worthwhile and rewarding year for them to be in. So respect and behavior. These are really general guidelines. All of us try our best to be consistent among the three teachers. We want them to respect themselves and others. We want the kids to give their best effort. We want them to be courteous, to maintain order in the classroom and hallways, which is especially important this year. How we move through the building in our hallways and in the classroom is really important to keep everybody safe and healthy. So there are a lot of different rules this year, and so far they've been doing a great job adjusting and listening to us and being flexible. Coming prepared for class is a huge one, especially because this year, at least for now, we as teachers cannot loan out supplies. I cannot loan a ruler to a student and then have them give it back to me for another kid to use next class because we're trying to make sure that everything is sanitized in between, and we just can't manage that right now. So it's really important that your child has their class materials every day because they can't borrow a pencil from a neighbor or from a teacher unless we're letting them borrow it to keep it. Listening attentively is another thing that we expect from our 5th graders. They are all able to do that. That's an expectation they can achieve. To ask questions when they don't understand something. It's really important for us to know when they are confused. So encourage your child to ask questions during class. And the other thing we wanted to mention is that it's really important that you review our policy on social media and cell phones with your child. Just in general, the students know already any cell phone that comes to school has to stay in their locker all day turned off, and it cannot be turned on until they leave school property. So even if they're waiting for buses to be called, you cannot have your cell phone on just yet. All right, so let's talk a little bit about conduct cards. And if you are new to St. James this year, you may not know this, but every student has a conduct card. It's a little yellow index card. It has lines on the back for your signature, and on the front, there's a column for behavior and a column for assignments. So a missing assignment will earn an assignment mark, and any sort of misbehavior or following directions will go on the behavior side. This is just a communication tool for us to let you know at home what's going on because we all have about 60 students, and sometimes it's hard to remember to email you individually when something's happening. So you will check these weekly. They're going to be kept in the student's planner at all times. There's a pocket in the back. We do give warnings before we give a mark, but that doesn't mean you get a warning every day. So if I warned you, let's say on Monday, about not playing rough at recess, and on Wednesday it's an issue again, you already got your warning on Monday, and it will be a mark. Each Wednesday when the Wednesday envelopes go home, the conduct cards will also go home, and they should be signed and looked at by you. So sign it, but also check the front and see if your kid has any new marks since the last time you saw it, and talk to them and ask what happened. And then we check on Thursday to make sure they were signed by a parent at home. We try to be as consistent as we can amongst the 3 teachers when it comes to what our expectations are for assignments and behavior, so that it's not different for me than it is for Miss Merritt. We try our best to make it the same for all 3 teachers so that students know what's expected of them regardless of who's in the classroom teaching them. And then finally from me, we're going to talk about the uniform policy a little bit. So please help your students adhere to our dress code. Please remind them of certain things when they're getting ready at home. The most common problems we see with 5th graders are belts. A lot of boys forget to wear belts, and the length of the skirt. So if a girl is wearing a uniform skirt, it should not be rolled at the waistband. It should not be short enough that we can see their shorts peeking out underneath it. It should be an appropriate length, almost to the knee. Jewelry, the only jewelry allowed are stud earrings for girls, and you can have a religious medal, one singular religious necklace or medal tucked into your shirt. Can't have any earrings that hang down like this. It's not safe for recess or for PE. No other excessive jewelry, and then nail polish. You may not have nail polish on. Okay, your nails have to be clean. This is especially important when coming back from Christmas break or coming back from the summer like we are now. Some people forget and still have nail polish on. They need to remember to take it off before they get to school. Students can wear a watch. No other items on the wrist, even hair ties or scrunchies, none of that. You can wear a watch. However, no watches are allowed that connect to Wi-Fi. So if you have a smart watch, that's probably not the best idea for your child to wear to school. We've had issues in the past with smart watches, and some of them allow texting and all of that stuff, so those are not allowed. You can wear a watch, and it's okay if it looks kind of like a smart watch, but it should not be able to connect to the internet. Shoes have to be tied. Gym shoes, they have to be closed-toed shoes. Moccasins, boots, flats, open-toed shoes are not allowed. They're just not. So make sure you remind your student, even if it's cold, even if it's snowy in the winter, boots are not allowed. They have to be wearing gym shoes, and they have to have socks on. Okay? That is all from me. I'm going to hand it over to the next teacher.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Feldman. I'll be presenting the next several slides. I get to talk about the consequences of behavior or missing assignments. So for the positive incentives, there will be some awards at the end of the trial if they have no marks on their conduct cards. If for the consequences for misbehaviors, if a student has 5 behavior marks or 5 missing assignment marks, this will result in you'll get a paper copies that you will send the white copy back to school and keep the yellow copy for yourself. If there are multiple detentions in one trimester, there could be a conference with the parents, teachers, and the principal. So either that. Sorry about that. Back up and make sure I didn't skip a slide. All right, homework. Students should learn to effectively use class time to minimize the time spent on written homework in the evening. That would include all the different subjects. So downtime, they should be using that extra time to that subject's class in that class. But prefer you don't work on math and reading or social studies and science. Spend about 60 minutes per night on homework. With distance learning, homework expectations along with class attendance and participation, should we go for several weeks in a row? And if the homework is due on a Friday, then that's the day it's due. There will be no finishing 2 and 3 weeks later like sometimes happened in the spring. There could be a combination of written work and study time for homework. Reading your AR book and practicing a math skills is essential each night. When I send home the paper copies via email, I have a link about why reading daily is very important. Effective use of time helps avoid the cram sessions prior to tests and quizzes. we announce them. It's a pop quiz, and students should vocabulary study a little each night. They should really thought an 100% effort. They'll learn more from that practice work if they're thinking about it and putting forth a lot of. They should not be working on homework that's due that day in the morning of that day before school. They can work on homework that's due on Friday, on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday in the morning, but not on Friday morning, for an example. They are also responsible for keeping their binders and folders in order with all of their class materials. That's especially important, that they put math papers in the math folder of the binder or in the accordion folder pocket for math. Reading and English separated, and science and social, all the subjects in their own pocket. If a student is absent, they should check Plus Portals and Google Classroom for homework and assignments when absent from school. In Plus Portals, it's mainly a note to send them to Google Classroom. So just check Google Classroom this year for sure. Everything's going to be posted there, whether we're in the building or out of the building for school this year. Any be given per e-envelope guidelines. So look for that as it arrives. And continuing about absences, upon your return, you must consult with us 3 teachers to plan when they're going to make up a test or a quiz that they may have been. Sometimes we may have 2 or 3 kids absent, and it's very helpful for us if the child comes to us in the morning class and say, I need to still take my science test. When could we do that? I think I could be ready tomorrow, or if they need a few days. Depends on how long they've been absent as to how many days they, in general, 1 day of absence, they should be ready within another day. Makeup guidelines are in the handbook if you have any questions about that. If we schedule a makeup test or quiz before or after school with a student, parent permission is needed and will be communicated via email or that works best for the teacher and the student, and that we can make that work and happen, but it would need to be scheduled ahead of time so we know to be here early, or if we don't. Okay, so I'm going to pause and let Miss.
Hello everybody, I'm Miss Merritt, and I'm going to take you through the next few slides. We're going to start with the COVID procedures. Masks must be worn in accordance with the state and Ohio and CDC guidelines, so everybody has to have their masks on. You're very well aware of that, and the students have been doing a very good job of that at this point. That we are giving them mask breaks during the day at various times for short periods of time, and of course down at recess they are allowed to take the mask off as long as they're 6 feet from each other. And some students are choosing not to take their masks off. We're encouraging that, but to get them off for a little while, but some are choosing not to. So just so you're aware of that. Because we cannot let students borrow supplies from us or from each other. It's really important that they have their own supplies and a continuing set of those things. It might be worth checking with them every now and again to just make sure that they have things. We have had far fewer things being lost in these early days as well, because they're all in one desk. So I think that will not be an issue for us. Students must adhere to our social distancing guidelines while on school property. So we are having recess separately, and they are encouraged to be 6 feet apart, and again, take their masks off for a period of time as long as they're at least 6 feet apart. And there are some games and things that they could play on the playground, but for the most part, most of them just sort of want to relax a little bit and chit-chat with each other. If we move to online school, students are going to be required to check their email on a daily basis. So we want to encourage them to do that right now to get in that habit, because at any one point, we might have somebody who's quarantined, or we may have to move to an online day, so we want to get them in the habit. Students are expected to be responsible and honest with online assessments, so plagiarism, cheating, and using calculators are all prohibited. Technology. Please be sure that you have activated your Plus Portals parent account. The students have already accessed theirs. Check Plus Portals account for homework postings and additional assignment information daily. The homework postings, to be honest, are really going to be in Google Classroom. There is a message on Plus Portals to go to Google Classroom. So because of the possibility of going online at any one time, Google Classroom will be the main area for homework posting, and then Portals will be for grades. Questions regarding technology should be directed to Mrs. Linehan. So if you're having problems at home, she can help you with that situation. Communication. Feel free to call, send a note, or email us. Of course, during the day, there may be some limitation as to when we can get to you through email, but we will certainly get back to you in a timely fashion about something. Content area questions should be addressed to your specific teachers. So if it's for me, if it's religion or social studies, feel free to contact me in any of those manners. General questions you're going to send to your homeroom teacher, and then that teacher will discuss it with the other teachers, and we will get information back to you. Just some general reminders. Homeschool envelope, please review and sign each Wednesday. Student planners, time is given in each class period to get those assignments recorded, so it's very important that they're seeing that they are using that planner. Absence notes, please send a note on the day of return, and doctor notes if applicable. So if somebody's been to the doctor and they're returning now after a long period, send that note in so that we can send it to the office, and they'll make copies of that for their records. It is really important, even though you call your students in, we have to have a note that just tells us what's when they're returning to school and what was wrong with them. Some textbooks are online. Students will be given the instructions to access materials as they become available to us. Some of the textbooks are newer books, and that information has not been made available due to the COVID problems. Some of the companies had shut down, and now they're just getting to that portion of the information that we need to have. Some final thoughts. Due to the ever-changing COVID rules and regulations, things may change very quickly, as you may have seen already with the heat and things. We appreciate your being flexible and patient, and we're going to be the same way, and we will work to make this a great 5th grade year for your child. Hopefully we will be in person as much as possible. That's the way we all like to do school. You like it that way, we like it that way. So please keep in mind that we're doing the best that we can, and if you have issues, please direct those to us so that we can solve the problems. And I just want to thank you for watching and sending your child here, and we're going to take real good care of them. Have a great evening.